Welcome to Wednesday, January 19th, and we are working on chapter 2. We're going to create the rod, and I wanted to point out some important factors of choosing your plane on which you create your initial sketch. So when we draw a sketch, to create a sketch, the first thing we do is we pick a plane that we want to draw on. So if we create a new part, we pick a template. We want to use the part millimeter ANSI, I believe, template for this rod. So I'll pick that and I'll go okay. Now, the first thing I have to do is I need to pick a plane, right? So when I do that, I can hover over, I can left click on the front plane, the top plane, or right plane. If I right click on there, it will give me the option to start a sketch on that plane, which is what I want to do. But I need to pick the right plane. And how do I pick that? Well, it's easy because the book will tell you to open a part millimeter ANSI template, save it, right click on the front plane, and off we go. Start your sketch there. Well, I want to take a look at page 218 in our textbook. And this is actually an exercise at the end of chapter 2. You'll be doing something similar to this. But when you do this, the sketch that you're creating will be this L-shaped piece, right? But what we need to consider when we're picking the plane the primary plane that we're drawing on is, what do we want the piece to look like when we're done? I did mention at some point, I know already, the car in the garage. Think about that. If this is, this is the car, do we want the car sitting on all four wheels? Do we want it laying on its side or laying on the end? But when we show an isometric view and we're looking at the front plane, and when we create our drawing, we'll use the front plane and then we'll use the top plane and the right plane. What we're looking at is that we'll be looking at it from this direction, okay? And here is looking down, and here is looking from the side to see this sketch. So if we want the top view of our part to look like this, we would pick the top plane, so that looking from at the top plane is going to show us that L-shaped that we have right here. So because we want it to be oriented as such, we're looking at it from the front plane. We want it to look like this, we would pick the front plane. If we do pick the right plane, and then we show an isometric view and we're expecting to see this, we won't, because this is what will show up. So anyway, just make sure that when you pick when you choose your plane, that it's the correct plane, okay? I could almost guarantee you that some of the exercises that we will review at the end of the chapter where we model parts will look like this. They'll be this one, because the right plane was chosen instead of the front plane. And this is what we want it to look like. And I kind of stress this because when you're creating a file at work, and it's a part that goes into an assembly, and the design of the assembly is, if it would be really easy for future parts and for the current part as you put it into the assembly, you want it to be oriented like this. If it's modeled like this instead, you'll need to go and you'll have to change stuff. You may just end up modifying the part to make it look like this, so that it all fits together the way that's design intent. So things fit together the way they are intended. Okay, enough about that. Let's make a rod. So this is on, what did I say? It was page 2-49. And does everybody have a book? Were people able to get books? If you have not been able to get one, let me know, and we can talk about that. But I'm looking at page I'm on 2-48, and I have a part, and it should be set up with the options that we looked at, with 2 decimals for the units, and mmgs, 2 for the length and none for the angle. Okay. So we have our template. We're going to save this file that we've created. So much work. That's what I'll say. Because we've done so much work, let's save the file. So we'll save it, and we will go to bring to ENG design with SolidWorks and place it in the projects folder. And it is the rod, so we'll put it in the guide rod folder. And we will call it rod. Rod is the file name. We go here to, and it's a PRT file, it's a SolidWorks part, and the description is going to be rod, 10mm diameter by 100mm. And save. And now up here it says rod, and this is the rod file we are creating. Now they ask us to right click on the front plane. We'll click start a sketch, and we can go. When you go through this, you can read all of the fine print and follow directions. I'm going to try and just, because I know you can read it and do it, I'm just going to hit the high points and create the model. We're creating a circle here, and we do that attached to the origin. And I click out somewhere off to the right. We will, smart dimension is right here. Smart dimension to the, click here and then off to the side. This is a linear dimension, and when I'm doing circles, I typically like to have it as a single line like that. They're easier when you get positioning them inside a drawing. It's going to be easier space-wise to work with a single leader rather than a linear dimension for a circle. And this will be 10mm. And we kind of got, we'll leave the dual dimension, the 2 place decimals on there for now, because we may want those later on, since that's how they set us up with the template. As you may have noticed in the plate, we did need those decimal places for laying out the holes that were the 2 holes that we put in there. Okay, there's our 10. Green check mark. We're going to create an extruded base with this. So I'm coming up to features. Now you can click exit sketch if you want to. That will exit the sketch, and then you can do features, or you can just skip that step and go straight to features, and it will assume that you want to use the sketch that you are currently working on. So I'll do that. So we go to extruded boss base, and we want a depth of 100mm. So I'm going to type in 100. And it extruded that forward. Is that what we want? Yes, it is. So we want to go forward. If we want to go back, we can click the arrows right here. We'll send it back, but we want to go forward. 100, click OK. And then we rename it. It's always easiest if we rename the features as we're going, because then we don't have to try and remember what they were. We'll just call it base extrude according to step 251. And because we've done so much work, what should we do? We're going to save our file. Time for a hole wizard. I was going to try and mention the steps that we're going to use while we create this rod. We are going to do an extrude base, which we already did. We're using the hole wizard, which is our next step. This one right here. Let's see. Let's do this. So things we are going to use are the extrude boss base, the hole wizard. We will do a chamfer. I don't think we've done a chamfer yet, have we? We'll do an extrude cut, another hole wizard. Oops, leave that off. Another extruded cut, and we will redefine. So sometimes when you're redefine. Sometimes when you're doing a part, you'll do a step and then you'll do another step, and that will mess up a previous one. So you have to repair it, modify it. We will do that. So you'll see how that works. Okay, so those are the steps we will do: extrude boss, hole wizard, chamfer, extrude cut, and redefining. So we're creating a hole. We're going to do that on the front, and that will be on page 2-50. So we pick the front view. To do that, we can come over here and pick the front view. We will pick hole wizard. We're there. We want to create a hole. This is the hole. We want anti-metric, which will be right here. Anti-metric. Drill sizes is here, just so you can see the other choices we have. Drill sizes, we want a 3.0 hole. I'm just rolling with my wheel, 3.0. We'll do it blind. Blind just gives it to a specific depth. The depth we want is 10 millimeters. And that's enough definition for the hole. Now we have to determine where it's going using the positions tab. The positions tab, they want us to click something not right on the origin. So I'll just come over here and I have to pick a surface, right? So I'm going to pick this surface. Now the shape that I'm putting in here shows up. So I can just put it anywhere. That's usually, if I'm defining something, I want to not have it snap, because if it snaps, can you see the little blue line there? If it snaps, that establishes a relationship, which is something I need to delete or work around if I'm placing it somewhere besides using that relationship. So I'll just put this in a non-linear area, and now I can do more work on it. Click the origin, click the center. Let's see, expand the hole, spacebar. I think they want us to pick this. Then hold down Control and pick this center and make them coincident. All right, that's where we want it. I want to complete my hole wizard feature. Now if I hold down spacebar and go isometric, where I can see the hole. And if I want to see how far the hole goes, I can come up to here and show it as a hidden line. And that's a good, then I know that it's only part way in, that it doesn't go all the way through. All right, and that's hidden lines visible. So now I'm going to go back to there, and I want to rename diameter 1 hole. I want to call that front hole. And I do that so that when I'm doing other work on my project and I know I want to get the hole that's up in the front, not the hole that's in the back, that I don't have to say, oh, was that the 3mm or the 4mm hole, or to go and click on it and see. I can just say, oh, that's the front hole. So it's helpful to have them named. Often in industry, we don't rename everything just because it takes extra time, but here, for the sake of learning how to do everything, like renaming features, we will rename them. And that'll be something that I will check when I'm looking at your work, is that are those renamed as they are supposed to be according to the exercise in the book. Let's create a chamfer. We're going to select the front outer edge right here and go to the chamfer feature tool. Where is the chamfer tool? Well, it is actually hidden a little bit. So I'm going to go up to fillet right here, and then I'm going to open that, and here's the chamfer. A fillet is where you put a curve on an edge. A chamfer is just a straight cut. And there's 4 different ways to do it, different ways of defining it: by dimensions, by angles, by the size of the face, inside angles, it looks like. We're going to use this one. So pick the angle distance, which is the upper left one, and enter 1 millimeter for the angle, or for the distance right here. You want that to be 1, and say okay. That's it. And there is our first chamfer. Yay! Everybody excited? We like chamfers. All right. Here is, because we've done much work, let's save it. I'm going to go Control-7, and that's another way to set it up as isometric. Now it will save. So if I want to edit my chamfer, I can pick that. Now, if I pick the wrong edge, I can right click here and I can go clear selections and then pick a different one. Or you can go delete if you want to remove just one, and that will delete the one that's highlighted. Otherwise, if you go clear selections, it will delete everything that's in that blue box. All right. Rod part extruded, cut feature, and convert entities. So page 2-53, we're looking at, we want to be shaded with edges, which we are. Go to the front circular face right here. Click the sketch tool. So from the in context a box that pops up here, I'm going to select sketch. Zoom to area. That's fun. That's this little, that's the second here in the, who remembers what this menu bar is called? That was the floating something, floating, floating in, yeah, it's this one. Okay, so we're gonna pick the second one over, which is zoom to area. This is fit to screen. So zoom to area. And now we want to zoom in right here. Zoom in on the front face, click zoom to area, click, okay, convert the outside edge to a sketch plane. Click the outside front circular edge of the base extrude. Okay, so now I'm going to, when I select items from this menu right here, I want to not have my part in there, because if my part is there like this, if it's up here like this, and I'm trying to pick something, I could easily miss and pick my part. So if I can have my part clear of that when I pick it, that's helpful. I want the front view, pick here. Now the line tool, and I'm going to come pick the line, and I want to draw a line. Well, I'm doing step 288, so I'm going to draw a line right here like this. I want it to be vertical, and I know it's vertical because it will snap, right? See how that snapped? Coming along, snap, And all of a sudden, I also see something that's helpful. I see this little box here. This is a relationship, and that means that it's vertical. So if you see vertical or horizontal, then you know that it's vertical. Okay, now that was step 288 and 289, but we need to go back here and do 284. This is convert entities. So to do that, we click the outside edge of the circle, this outside edge, and go to convert entities, which is up here. And this is, I keep saying this is one of my favorite tools. I like it because it saves you from having to redraw stuff, and it's a great way to link to existing geometry. So by converting entities on this line, this outside edge, if the diameter of the rod changes, that line will follow with it, right? Because it's converted, it's based on that outside edge. So I'm going to go to the front plane or front view, pick that edge and do convert entities. Now I have a black line. That's black because it's fully defined, because it's defined by the size of the rod. It's something driven outside of the sketch that I'm in. This is blue because I can move it around and it's not defined in any way yet. So what I want to do is I want to do a, or do they have us to mention that? Did we do that yet? Now we're doing the trim entities. So trim entities is up here. It's in the sketch toolbar. So I'm going to click trim entities, and that is a way to trim lines that are in my sketch. So I'm using power trim, which is nice because I can draw around with my mouse, and anything that I touch with a little dark gray line there will be trimmed. So if I go like that, it trimmed it back to the next part that was in the drawing, in the sketch. So I'm going to trim that, and that dark circle goes all the way around the outside, but I don't want it all the way. I only want this part here. So I'm going to just draw across that line and trim it. Now all that I have is these two portions, right? And I know that because I can, if I spin around like this, you can see that that's what's in my sketch, right? Just those two. So to get back to normal to, I'm going to press spacebar and click that. Now I'm back to the whatever direction it is I'm looking straight at my sketch from. Now it's blue. How do we define it? We need to add a dimension, and that's going to be 6. Now, what did we find out? Are we in good shape? Yes, we are. It's fully defined. That's the goal. Let's go check mark. It's fully defined. And it's fully defined because this line is vertical and we can't move it anywhere. This outside. All right. Now we're going to do an extrude cut. Let's see, we got through step 302 on page 254. They want to show us how we can select all of those. If we come up here, hold down the left mouse button and move down to the right and let go, that selects everything that was highlighted in that box. So if you go from the upper left to the lower right while holding the left mouse button, it does that. Another thing to know is that if you go from the upper right, hold down your left mouse button and start going to the lower left, and you go about like that. See how the vertical line and the dark radius there are inside my green box? If I let go, it selects them. They have these two tools because sometimes in a really complicated area, perhaps you can only get part of the two lines that you only want to select, because there will be other things in here that you can't get to. You can't do a full selection and get only these two parts. So if you do the upper right to the lower left, you can draw a little itty bitty box like this like that and get just those two lines, right? So that's a good tool to know. There is, we've got our 6mm dimension. We're going to do an extrude cut. Now we go to step 313. We're going out of the sketch, we're going to features again. Now we do extrude cut, and that is going to be more easily visible from a different view. So I press, oh, don't want that. What do they have us do here? Press the space bar. So we pick extrude cut, and they tell us to press the space bar, which right now this is highlighted. So if whatever I type or do is going to happen in that space. I want to do isometric, so I'm going to scroll out with my wheel on my mouse, and I come over here and I pick this, and I will go to isometric. Now I can see it. We want a depth of 15mm, not 100. 100 is the full length of our part. We only want to go in 15. 15mm. That's good. Oh, look, it's cut extrude 1. What in the world does that mean? I think that should be called keyway cut. It's been a long day. Can I spell keyway? And there's a sketch number 4. Let's call that keyway. And there is our keyway, and that's the object there. Let's go ahead and save the file. Now, bonus material, maybe? No, just important information. If we have tangents showing, there's a way to hide the tangent lines in our model. And a tangent line is like when you have a radius, and it'll be the beginning and the end of that radius. So to hide the tangent line, you come up to options, go to system options, and then to display. So here's system options, oops, up here. Then we come down to display. Then we click display, and it will go, here is the tangent spot right here. Tangent edge display. And we want that to be removed, okay? That's the, so that will, you can make them visible. Sometimes you want them to be visible, sometimes you don't. So this is how you control that. We went to system options, display, and that will do it for everything. That's that system options apply to whatever documents you have open. If you have multiple documents, it will do it to all of them. But that's where they do the controlling of the tangent. You can also do it in context, but that's where they wanted us to show you that on this project. Okay, we want to be in the isometric right now, right? So we're in isometric. Now we hold down the shift key and press the up arrow 2 times. That will move it 90 degrees per the view that you're looking at. So now we are going to create a new view. So click new view, which is, we want to, let's see, shift key twice, press the space bar on your keyboard and click the pin here to lock it in place. Now we pick, this one is the new one. And we can name this view, and they want us to call it back ISO, short for isometric. And okay. So now it's listed right here. And you can create several different views, as many as you want within reason, that you don't already have for whatever purpose. Maybe you need to display something in your parts. You need to do an interesting angle for a breakaway, different views of whatever sort, hiding parts. Okay, now we can unpin that and close it. And we will save. Now we're going to copy and paste. Click the back view. So go to the back view. Click the front hole in the feature manager. Here's the keyway cut. We want the front hole. Click edit copy from the menu bar. So I come up here to the menu bar, I go to edit, and then down to copy. That's going to copy the front hole. And now I go click the back face of the rod as illustrated. Do not select the center point. So there's the back face. Now click edit paste. Back up to edit and paste. There are external relations of the feature. Let's see, the box states there are external constraints in the feature being copied. The external constraint is the coincident geometric relation used to place the front hole. Click delete. Do you want to delete those relationships or leave them dangling? Dangling is when they still exist, but they're not actively engaged. So it's supposed to be relating to the center of the circle to the origin, but it's not. So it will show up, if there's a dimension, it will show up in a kind of a maze off yellow shade of color.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
Question. I just noticed this, and I can't believe I'm taking this long. How come instead of a smooth outside edge, it's actually a series of angles to create that edge?
Yeah.
On the circumference. What's that? What's going on with that?
Very good question. That is how it creates a circle. Those, if you zoom in, it's technically it is a circle, but if you zoom in, it's really like a 13agon or whatever. You can control that. You can adjust the number of edges or the quantity of edges or the length of the edges somehow or another. That's just the graphics calculating and creating that circle. If we do a convert entities on that, it will be a real circle, but it's just a graphics thing. It does it for calculating equations or whatever.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the reason they do that is that you see how our inner circle here is technically there are sides to that too, or segments, but they do that so that if you have 30,000 circles, you can make them instead of having it's a way to eliminate complexity and calculations for the graphics process of it. So yeah, good eye. All right, so now we're going to attach this hole to the center of the circle, and that was let's see. Okay, we're going to back face, click edit paste. Okay, if needed, delete the old constraint. Rename the feature and then expand it, edit the sketch, locate the back hole, insert a coincident. Basically, we're going to take this, which is a 3mm hole. That's the front hole. This is the back hole. It's 3mm. I'm going to edit the whole wizard feature and change that to be a 4mm hole. And I can come down to size here. And here's 4. Now it's a bigger hole. Now, if I go to expand the back hole for the feature, right click, sketch 5. So in your hole wizard, there's 2 sketches, right? There's 2 sketches, just like there's 2 tabs in the hole wizard feature. One is defining the hole, and the other is defining the position of the hole. So here's the shape of the hole. It's got a diameter of that, and it goes this deep. This one is the sketch of where it's positioned. So to do this, they want us to pick this point. They say click the center point of the circle, hold down the control key, and pick the origin. So here's the center of my circle. I want the center of that circle by clicking sketch 5. Okay, that didn't work real well. Okay, and that still didn't work, but we'll go with it. And now I hold control and I pick the origin. And let's see, let's do this. Let's go, I want to go normal too, so I'm facing it. Now if I look at the sketch, there, now I got the center of the circle. And the easiest way to click the origin is I'm going to hold shift and I go to my feature tree and pick the origin like that, rather than trying to find it in my model. Now I don't have the, let's see. I want to make those 2 coincident. So I'm going to pick my origin and hold control and pick the center of my circle. And I want to establish a relationship. So if I go to sketch, there's display relations. We want coincident. It should pop up in a in context box. Here's my origin, here's the center of my circle, and here's the box, but there's no well, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to edit the sketch. Oops, wrong sketch. So here, to get out of the sketch, I can escape, I can undo, but I'm just going over here to exit sketch. And I want to be in sketch 5. So I'm going to sketch 5. Maybe I need to be inside that sketch to do it. I bet that's it. So if I click my center of my circle and then hold shift and pick the origin, we'll come over here and pick the origin. Now I have the chance to make a coincident because I'm inside the sketch. And I go, okay. Now my sketch has the center of my circle and the origin coincident. The little stoplight shows that I need to rebuild. So I click on that and the hole is now in the center of the rod. I can exit the sketch. I did, I rebuilt it. Click the isometric view. And now we have, if we look at it with the hidden lines showing, we have, and we changed that to, right now it's still 3. We want that to be 4. Didn't we change that to 4 already? There's 4. Okay, now it's 4. This one's 3. Select 4 for the whole size, click OK. Now click Save. I'm going to put it back into edges showing and save. Now we're going to change some parts with the rollback bar. It's 6:42 already. Couple more pages and we'll be done with this, then we'll take a break, okay? The rollback bar is this blue line at the bottom. So when I hover over it with my mouse, it turns, I have a hand show up, right? That hand means that I can move it. So I want to click on that. I get my hand to show. Now I left mouse click and I drag the rollback bar upward below the base extrude feature. Base extrude up here to there. That took away the work that I did on this end with the hole and the chamfer. Now I want to go to the front view, and I'm going to do some work on that front. Click sketch in context. Right click on the front face. Okay, so I right click, I go to sketch and click on circle. And I'm going to put a circle, sketch tool. Okay. Click the circle sketch tool, click the origin of the base extrude feature. Okay. And drag out to just some dimension. Now I'm going to dimension that, and I want that to be 7 millimeters. 7 and enter. Click the green check mark. Now press the F key to center it. Click the extrude cut. So I get to the features toolbar and over to extrude cut. Click the flip side to cut button. What on earth is that? Well, when you have a sketch like this, it's a circle. SolidWorks says, oh, hey, it looks like a circle. I bet you want to create a hole there or to do an extrude out or something. Well, if I want to not use the inside, but if I want to use the outside of the hole, I can click the flip side to cut button, which is right down here, right here. Sometimes you are looking for things, they don't show up because they're further down. If there's a little bar over here, it means you can slide down to look at more stuff, but that's what we want right here is the flip side to cut button. Now, instead of cutting the inside as a whole, it's cutting the outside. And we flip the side to cut. Now we say, okay. Now we use spacebar and isometric. And rename the feature. We're calling cut extrude 2. Feature, we're calling that front cut. So usually I double click on these to get them so that you can edit them and change the name. Sometimes you can press F2 to do that. If I highlight it and I press F2, it does the same thing. F2 will commonly do that in different settings. So I want to rename that to front cut. It doesn't matter a lot if you use uppercase or lowercase letters. I see different things in the book, but we will call that front cut. And save the rod. Now we drag the roll bar back down. Down, 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 below chamfer 1. Where's chamfer 1? Right here. Oh, look at that. What's the red X mean? We don't like red or yellow. Maybe I like yellow, but not in SolidWorks. So the problem with the red X, that means there's something wrong. So if I right click on there, I can go up to what's wrong and it will tell me, except it will tell me on the other screen. And that will say, I think it was 3 millimeter diameter and 10 millimeter depth. Was that 10 millimeter depth? Where was the 3 millimeter diameter? The hole? The 3, the front. Did I change that? The back hole is 4, the front hole is 3. Some chamfered items are no longer in the model. Edit the feature to reselect the items. So we have issues because of the change in geometry here. Something happened. What happened was the chamfer was on this outside edge, which we took away. SolidWorks uses something called a surface ID, surface identification. And it doesn't tell you what that is, but you just know about it. So what happened here was it had created the that surface had a number representing it in its calculations, and so it basically it had an ID. And when we did something to it, that surface changed. So now that ID is different. Because let's see where okay, let's I will fix those design changes. We're going to 10 millimeter depth for the side cut. Let's just make sure we'll see what that is. That was the front cut. That was this one. And it was, oh, look at that. It's supposed to be 10. Good eye. Thank you, Crystal. It was a 10 millimeter depth. And it was 3 something.
Well, I was just answering Seth's thing.
Oh, okay.
Dimensions of the hole.
What is the dim of the hole? Of this hole. And that was 3, correct? Because the back one was 4.
The first one we did that was 3 millimeters wide by 10 millimeters deep.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. I think that was 3, and then we copied it to the back, and then we changed the back to 4.
Like I said, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Okay. Oops. So we're fixing the chamfer. Extrude cut, 10 millimeters for depth. That was the front cut. We did establish that as 10. Okay. Spacebar isometric, we renamed that. Okay, we moved our rollback bar down below the chamfer. We're going to edit that. And we edit that feature. And here is the beautiful shade, not so beautiful shade of yellow. We don't like that because it means something's wrong. And there's a note on right here that tells us, I was hoping to get that to show. That says that the edge is missing or something. So we right click inside here. We go clear all missing, clear selections. Yeah, clear selections. Basically, we now need to redefine the edges on which we establish our chamfer. So now we click this edge, and that will chamfer that. Now we can go make sure it's 1 millimeter, and we go okay. There's our new chamfer. No longer colored. Now we have a new error in the keyway cut. Because we changed that, our keyway has been modified, and there's no a keyway we drew up here on the somewhere the surface ID on which that sketch for the keyway was changed. So we need to edit that sketch plane. So we come over here, we can right click on the keyway cut, and we need to, I think, open that up and look at the sketch. Edit the sketch plane. So if we edit there, right click on the sketch itself, and the second tab over is this edit sketch plane. The sketch contains dimensions or relations to model geometry which no longer exist. Consider deleting the dangling sketch entities shown in the dangling sketch color, editing the model to restore the missing model geometry. we, instead of changing the sketch, we're going to change the sketch plane, the plane on which that is drawn. So instead of it being out here where there is currently no longer a surface on which to draw, we will pick the surface right here. That will be that face will be the new sketch plane. And failure feature keyway has a warning, which may cause subsequent failures. Features to fail. Would you like to repair the keyway? Yes, we want to stop and repair. Sometimes you want to just ignore it and go on and do what you need to do because you're going to fix it later. Here we want to repair it because now is a good time to do it because we'll fix it and then we'll be done with it. So the sketch contains relations to model geometry which no longer exist. So fix it. All right. And we will do that by editing that sketch. Oops. So we stop and repair. Right click on the keyway cut. And I can go to edit sketch. And here is the display delete relations button up here in the top. And this will show us what is currently going on in that sketch. What we have to work with, what we have to fix, what we want to maintain. Here in the box on the left, it shows us the relations that are currently active in that sketch. This on edge 0 is no longer valid. It's set even a darker shade of that. So I want to delete that. So I'll right click and just say delete. Oops, that didn't work. Let's back up. Missed it. Okay. Display delete relations on edge. That one I want to delete. Okay. Now there's still something going on here. So what we're going to do is right click on the edge 0 relation. I think that's what we just did. We deleted it. Now, if sketch relations, hide show, sketch relations is selected. So I showed it right up here, display delete relations. Another way you can do is go to view, display, and I usually do it over there. Hide show, and then down here, if we go down further, there's sketch relations, and that will show the same thing. So we can turn those on or off here as well. So we'll go to the front view. And we need to make these co-radial. So click the blue arc. See that arc? I can move it and change it because there's nothing defining it. Yes, it was originally on that edge, but it's not now. But we want to have that arc remain on that edge. So to do that, I will pick this edge and then hold Control because I want to pick multiple items and then pick this arc edge. And if I go here to my in context box, it shows the same relations that are available on the left side. But what I want is to make co-radial. And what that means is that the radius for both of those arcs will be the same, which will put them in line with each other. And that's what we want. So now we can go ahead and click OK. So that made the sketch fully defined. And there still is orange here with caution and stuff going on, but it's got the rebuild symbol. So we can rebuild that. And why is that still doing that? We did co-radial, we picked the outside edges. Let's see what's going on. Dimension to model geometry which no longer exists. Okay. So what's going on? Let's open this up and see. There are still dimensions to model geometry which no longer exists. Okay. I want to see what's the problem. Oh, okay. Coincident 3 is not good. So we'll delete that, highlight that, delete it. What's going on? So if that's 6, I think, and those are the same radius, what I'm guessing is that did we lose our, is that still vertical? That's still vertical. That's okay now. It must have I think it was probably extending past the edge. So if I grabbed it and brought it down and it connected to the end of this radius, now it's good. So the caution symbols have gone away and we're happy. We have a good part. So now if we go and look at it in isometric, our sketch the keyway goes as deep as we want it, and we're all fully defined, so it's good. Now we can go, we'll save it, which I think we just did. Save. And pull the roll bar back down below the back hole. Here's the front hole, here's the back hole. We didn't change that name, did we? The name is still 3, but the hole has been changed to 4. So the hole is at 4. Let's change the name in the feature tree to back hole. Okay. Oh, yep, there we go. Right click, back hole from the feature manager, click edit feature, select blind for the end depth. Okay, we're modifying this. Right click, edit the feature. Now we go to the depth, drill size, hole size is 4, blind was 10. Now we change that to 20. And click OK. And save. I'm going to make this again shaded with edges. It's isometric and save. Okay. Shaded with edges. So, edit the part appearance. Shaded with edges, which we just did. Click the appearances. Oh, now we come to appearances. This is the appearances button. They want us to do it over here. So appearances and right click the rod part icon. All right. So we need to scroll up here so we have the right here. So right click there, click the appearance drop down, which they are showing us this one. And select the rod. Now click clear selections, right click, clear selections. And I have to tell it something to put an appearance on. So I want to pick this. I want to pick selected features. And now I go to what they call the flyout feature manager. And that is this right here. So right now I have a feature going on in my feature tree area. I could open up the feature tree by clicking on this box here. I could establish that, but then I would lose what I'm doing here. So instead I come over here to the fly out feature manager and click the front hole. That's the feature that I want to apply color to. Click the back hole, this one. And the keyway cut. So the keyway as well. So we have 3 and pick a color. What color do we want? This, you can choose anything you want here. I'm going to go with that one. And for example, blue. 426 says blue. You can pick whatever color you want. All right, and then click OK from the color properties manager. Show display plane. Show display pane arrow. Is that this? Now we can see that those features are colored here. This will indicate the colors are. So this is the shade that will occur when the part is used somewhere. These are the shades that show up on these features when we're looking at the part itself. So we can hide that. And do isometric view, and there we go. We're done. Save the rod. The rod is complete. Just like that. Okay.
Yeah, David, I've been trying to keep up with you. I'm still back on like on page 258. Just you're very fast.
Okay.
Just
That's
FYI.
That's okay. I've done these a few times. I did this last night so that I could get through it quickly because I want to get through the rod. So I will, if you have questions, let me know. But I do want to get through the entire guide part as well.
You're fine. I kind of figured I'll watch the video if I really need help later, and I can email you if it gets really bad.
Yeah, and that's good. You know, it's the book is pretty good, and for the most part, if there are things, I will point them out to you where they've made errors. But so far, I think it's been pretty clear of errors. There are some, and I will point out to you in the videos during class while we're doing it, the things you want to look out for, because there are some features or steps that we take in the modeling that many students will across multiple semesters. And I even point it out and people still miss it. So don't feel bad. I will do my best to help you through those tough spots. And if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email, or we can meet outside of class if people need to I can show you through Zoom how to do these things too. So, all right, good job. We'll save that, and you can save wherever you're at. And I need to go and complete this recording. Stop recording.